Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel. Today we'll be discussing the other part of X-ray chest reading, that is we call as looking at the heart shadow. So on an X-ray chest, how does you interpret regarding a cardiac silhouette and cardiac shadows? So we'll be discussing under two heading, heart and miscellaneous conditions related to heart. Whenever you want to look at the heart size, before looking at the heart size, you have to look at what we call as heart border. Right border, left border and inferior border. Actually, inferior border you cannot differentiate from the diaphragm. That's why inferior border you cannot identify. You can clearly identify the right border, left border. But this border becomes difficult to identify if there is any pathophysiology which is producing opacity in lung, which produces Silhouette sign. So in that case, the heart border becomes very difficult to identify. If it is a right lung pathophysiology or right side pleural pathophysiology which is producing massive radio opacity, it will interfere with the identification of the right border. And in case of a right side lung, right lower lobe, and in the left side, left lower lobe and lingular lobe will make heart border to identify very difficult. If you can identify heart border very clearly, you will be able to identify the size of the heart very clearly, whether it is normal, whether it is enlarged, we call cardiomegaly, or if it is little less than expected normal. Shape wise, depending upon the different types of shapes, you can say right ventricle, left ventricle, etc. You can sometimes also differentiate right atrial enlargement, left atrial enlargement. Silhouette signs will be discussing in a separate entire entity, and we have discussed that particularly separately. We look at the blood vessels, particularly aorta and pulmonary blood vessels that we have discussed in hilum. Cardiophrenic angle, not of much of importance, but in case of a Silhouette signs, those angles are not differentiated. You cannot identify. Calcification of aorta, different valves, pericardium, myocardium, etc. You can identify if the X-ray quality is very good. Prosthetic valves, pacemakers, sutures, tubes, stents, you can identify on a X-ray. If you want to look at the heart, it has to be X-ray chest PA view, not AP view, because AP view will give a false idea regarding the size and the shape of the heart. So do not comment on the size and shape. Also, you will find difficulty in identifying some of the findings which you get based in PA view. So in a supine view, we call AP view, or in a any person who has taken an AP view in an erect posture, do not comment on the size and the shape of the heart. This is the preliminary thing you should remember. Now you can see here, this is normal cardiac silhouette. This is a right border. This is extending up. This is a superior vena cava. And then this is what we call as the internal jugular. Right? This is the left border, which is made up of a left ventricle. This is the portion which is made up of a pulmonary artery. Then this is a left atrium. This is right atrium. This is made up by right atrium. This we cannot identify, but this is by right ventricle. This border is by left ventricle. This is left atrium. This is pulmonary artery. This is pulmonary artery, and this is left pulmonary branch. This is right pulmonary branch, which forms right hilum. This is superior vena cava, and further extending up, This will be what we call as internal jugular, right? And this is trachea. So right border, this is left border, this is aortic knuckle. So this is called cardiac cell aortic. You have to remember which structure comes at what part. So if you know that, you will be able to identify whether that structure is abnormal or normal. So you should know what is normal, then only you can identify abnormal. On the right side, right atrium, right pulmonary artery and ascending aorta. On the left side, aortic knuckle, we call AP window, aortopulmonary window. And in that area, you will see left pulmonary artery branch. Then below that, left atrium, left ventricle. So these are the cardiac cell aortic borders. And this will be the right side border of the mediastinum, left border of mediastinum. So this will be right paratracheal, left paratracheal, because this is trachea parallel to the paratracheal. So this is a mediastinal portion. So that is how it is. And this is called cardiac cell aortic, and this is called mediastinum. So again, right border we have shown you. Now what is important? Now if I want to identify some structures, whether it is enlarged or not, I'll take a lateral view. In a lateral view, this is sternum. This is called retrosternal area. So in a retrosternal area, RV and RV comes. This will be by RV. And behind this line, from hilum, if you draw a line to the apex in a lateral view, this will be LV. And above that, this will be LA. So LV and LA comes posterior, while RV and pulmonary artery comes anterior. Well, if you look here, this will be the right border is mainly by a right atrium. This is by a right atrium, and this inferior is by a right ventricle. But that you can easily identify. So if I see a retrocardiac space, retrosternal space completely filled up, it will be by RV. And if you see enlargement of the heart posteriorly, it will be by LV. And LA can be identified as a double atrial shadow in over right atrium. We'll show you that. So this is an imaginary line, and above this line we come across an aortic valve. Aortic valve will come here, and pulmonary valve will come somewhere here. So aortic valve is little higher up, and pulmonary valve. And below this line, imaginary line, from hilum towards the apex, below this line, mitral valve and tricuspid valve will come somewhere here. Tricuspid valve will be here. So that will be the position. So in a lateral view, if you identify a prosthetic material, try to identify which valve it is. That can be identified if you know this particular. Again, if you draw an imaginary line from hilum towards the apex, imaginary line towards the apex, above this line, what we call is a pulmonary and aortic, below the line, mitral and tricuspid. So just remember those two. Now if I want to see the cardiac size, before looking at the cardiac size and shape, cell aortic margin should be sharp. So I have told you before. So in case of any condition of the lung which is producing radioopacity, and there is a shift of mediastinum by a lung pathophysiology, it will be extremely difficult to identify the cardiothoracic ratio, or we call it a size and sometimes even the shape of the heart. Because cardiac cell aortic will be obstructed by or will be overlapped by the opacity which is produced in the lung, which is close to the right border, say right lower lobe, and on left side, left lower lobe and lingular lobes. So in that case, cell aortic of cardiac is obliterated. We call cell aortic signs will be positive. So you will not be able to identify the exact cardiac borders. And when you cannot identify, you cannot calculate the cardiothoracic ratio. Suppose if the borders margins are very clear, then you can identify the cardiac border and you can identify the cardiothoracic ratio. This is a wrong technique. Don't draw two vertical lines on the right side and left side and calculate the cardiac size and compare with the half the size of the thorax. This is a wrong technique. We'll be showing you further what is the exact technology. So if it is less than 40% of a transverse diameter, then we call that as normal. But if it is more than 50% of a transverse diameter, we call as a cardiomegaly. But before labeling a person as cardiomegaly, always look at it is a AP view or a PA view. If it is a PA view, best. If it is a AP view, don't comment on cardiomegaly because it will give you a false impression of an increase in the heart size. If there is a rotation, particularly if it is a rotation towards the left side, so what we call as right clavicle is having a less distance as compared to the left clavicle, there will be pseudocardiomegaly. In person, if the X-ray plate is taken during expiration, it will give again a false interpretation of cardiomegaly. So try to look at these three, which is a poor quality X-ray. So rotation, expiration film and AP view are not good for identifying the shape and the size of the heart. If there is a shift of trachea because of either because of pull or push, again it can give you a false interpretation of a cardiomegaly, or if there is a cardiomegaly, it will give you a normal heart size. So try to look for all this and then only answer the size of the heart and the shape of the heart. This is another wrong technique. Don't draw a line from aorta straight down because depending upon this line, this is, see, it is an oblique line. So you cannot have an oblique line. And also look at the position of a trachea to see at the shift of the heart. That is, we call shift of the mediastinum. In presence of a shift of mediastinum, you cannot comment regarding a cardiomegaly. And this will give you a wrong idea regarding the size of the heart also. So don't use this technique for cardiomegaly. This is again a wrong technique. Drawing a two vertical line and measuring the half the size of the thorax. Wrong technique. This is definitely a cardiomegaly, but use all the criteria. Position of the trachea, position of the mediastinum. In inspiration or expiration, it should be in a full deep inspiration. There should be no rotation of the heart. Look at all those things and then only label that as cardiomegaly or not, and the shape of the heart. You can roughly see this is a cardiomegaly and this is LV type. This is LV type and the size is more than 50, so you can call that as a cardiomegaly. Now again, this is not a good technique. You have measured the internal diameter of thorax and you are measuring by one single straight line. So this one single straight line, again this is a wrong technique. Don't use this. Again you can see here, if I draw a one single straight line here, or should I draw a one single straight line here, it becomes difficult. Ideally you have to draw a line one in the center and maximum distance. So from here till this and here this line. This is definitely a cardiomegaly more than, and look at the inspiration field. Look at the position of the trachea and look at the rotation of the heart. There is no rotation, trachea is central, diaphragm is quite below, so this is in the full inspiration. So this can be taken for measurement of cardiomegaly, but the technique of measurement should be proper. This shows the exact technique. You can see there is a central line and you measure the distance, maximum distance on the right side and maximum distance on the left side of this midline, and you measure the distance maximum of the intrathoracic ratio. So this is the internal diameter. See, A is a right side diameter maximum, B is a left side diameter of heart, and A plus B should be less than 50% of C. If it is more than 50%, it is cardiomegaly. This is the exact technique. So always use this technique. And while using this, again look at the thorax, look at the position of the clavicle, so there is no rotation, and look at the right dome of the diaphragm. It should be in a full inspiration. So anterior wise it should be a 6th rib, and posterior rib wise it should be 9th or 10th rib. So this should be the criteria, and after this you can mention regarding a cardiomegaly. Now there is one another thing which can give you a wrong idea regarding a cardiomegaly. Look at the mark. This is L mark. Look at the apex of the heart. It is towards the right side. This is because of the malposition. We call it as a dextrocardia. So because of the shift of mediastinum and because of a malposition, again you will find difficulty in measuring the cardiac size. So whenever there is a dextrocardia, it can be little difficult to identify the cardiac size. But if the X-ray picture is good, you will be able to identify even the cardiac size in presence of what we call as a dextrocardia. But in a shift of trachea, rotation and AP view, also with malrotation, and in expiration view, it will be extremely difficult. Remember these 4 things: trachea, mediastinal shifts, expiration film, and AP view becomes very, very difficult. We'll be telling you in another conditions also which will give you a false cardiomegaly. So cardiomegaly will be there in all these different conditions: RVH, LVH, biventricular, in a person with a valvular heart disease, ischemic heart disease, dilated cardiomyopathy, with or without congestive heart failure, dilated cardiomyopathy, that is DCM, massive pericardial effusion, pneumo, hydro, hemo or chylous effusion. So pericardial effusion can be containing a fluid plus air, so we call hydropneumo pericardial effusion, hydropericardium, hemopericardium, chylous pericardium. So in that condition also you can get a cardiomegaly. So cardiomegaly can be there because of a pericardial condition, can be because of the cardiac conditions. So you will have to differentiate that. So anytime if the person comes with a massive cardiomegaly, always think of a valvular heart disease, dilated cardiomyopathy and massive pericardial effusion. These 3 condition comes topmost on the list. That is valvular heart disease and particularly MRAR. So in MRAR there is a huge left ventricular enlargement. So in that conditions the heart size is very big. So in a case of a massive cardiomegaly, think of valvular heart disease. Again in a valvular heart disease, MRAR, mitral regurgitation, aortic regurgitation, and dilated cardiomyopathy. These are the 2 in cardiac, and massive pericardial effusion that will be in a pericardial condition. While a small size heart, so heart size appears even less than 40. So in that case, classical example, constrictive pericarditis, restrictive cardiomyopathy, and in a respiratory condition, these 2 are cardiovascular conditions. This is pericardial, this is myocardial. In case of a respiratory, in a COPD, because of a diaphragm pushed down, the heart is little vertical. It will appear little smaller in size. So we call vertical heart. In a case of emphysema and COPD, the heart size will appear little smaller in size. So do remember this. Now this can be misinterpreted in person with. So cardiothoracic ratio will appear more, but the heart is absolutely normal. If diaphragm is pushed up, obesity, pregnancy, massive ascites. And we have already told you that if it is a AP view, expiration, or if the X-ray is taken in a supine posture, or there is a rotation, or if there is a shift of mediastinum. In that case, it will give you a false interpretation. And in this, the diaphragm is pushed up. So in those conditions also, you will have a false interpretation of a cardiac size. Sometimes, in a respiratory condition like collapse, I have already told you that in a case of a any radio opacity which is close to the heart, that is right lower lobe on the right side, left lower lobe and left lingular lobe on left side. Collapse, consolidation, pleural effusion will produce a Celotes sign, and it will be extremely difficult to identify the exact cardiac size. In a case of a pectus excavatum and straight back syndrome also, because of external deformities of chest wall, it will give you a false interpretation of a heart size. So do remember all these conditions which can give you a false interpretation of a heart size. And this straight back syndrome and pectus excavatum you can identify only in a lateral view. So do look at the lateral view. It can give you a false interpretation. Now suppose this is a X-ray chest which is taken. It is already mentioned that X-ray chest taken in a critical care patient. So whenever it is taken in a critical care patient, usually it is a supine view. So first, in a supine view, don't try to comment on a cardiomegaly. But say we take it as present. This is a big size, very, very big size. So whenever there is a cardiomegaly, look for what we call as a hilum. So if there is a vascular congestion in a hilum, if there is a curly A line, curly B line will be seen in the base. So you get a little prominence of what we call as the interstitial space, which is filled with a fluid which appears as a curly B lines. And in apex, if you get a line in apex, we call curly A lines. And if the angles are obliterated, if angles, cardiothoracic angle is not clear and costophrenic angle is not clear, this is cardiophrenic angle, this is costophrenic angle. And if there is a bilateral pleural effusion, it is in favor of a congestive heart failure. So look at the heart size, look at the hilum. If hilum there is a congestion, there is a curly A line, curly B line, and if the costophrenic angle are obliterated or blunted, we call, it is in favor of what we call as congestive heart failure. And if this vascular marking is so prominent and congestion is so prominent, it appears like a bat wing or a butterfly appearance, then again it is in favor of a severe congestive heart failure. So do look at that particular thing. Now, whenever you look at the cardiomegaly, always look at heart failure signs. We have already mentioned cardiomegaly, signs of pulmonary edema in the form of curly A line, curly B lines, bat wing appearance or what we call as butterfly appearance, and bilateral pleural effusion. Look at all these four signs. Cardiomegaly, signs of pulmonary congestion or we call pulmonary edema, that is bronchovascular marking prominent, which you can identify by means of a butterfly appearance, of a bat wing appearance, curly B lines and curly A lines, and bilateral pleural effusion. Look at all those four signs. It will help you to differentiate in presence of cardiomegaly whether there is a congestive heart failure or not. If those are not present, then you can look at other findings. Now this is what we call as a curly A lines in apex. This is one finding in congestive heart failure. This will be normal and you can see lot of markings, linear lines, interstitial edema. This is curly B lines. Plus bronchovascular marking prominent. Bronchovascular marking is prominent and you can see a pleural effusion. Clearly you can see bilateral pleural effusion. So this will be in favor of severe congestive heart failure. And sometime you can see in this is an interlobar fissure. In an interlobar fissure you get a fluid level. This is fluid. So this is because of a fluid in an interlobar fissure. This is again in favor of a congestive heart failure. This may be seen, may not be seen. And you see this what we call as a bat wing appearance or butterfly appearance. So if you see that, again in favor of cardiomegaly with this A line, B line, costophrenic angle, pleural effusion, in favor of, straightforward in favor of a congestive heart failure. Again you can see I cannot demarcate the cardiac border clearly. Even diaphragm border is very difficult to demarcate. Costophrenic angle I cannot identify very clearly. So there is possibility of pleural effusion, and you can see a very big area of pulmonary edema, fulminant. So this is a bat wing appearance, or we call it a butterfly appearance. And if you can identify a curly A line and curly B lines, straightforward in favor of a congestive heart failure. So look at all those four findings: cardiomegaly, butterfly appearance, absence of or blunting of costophrenic angle, curly A line and curly B lines. Those four are classical. Again, you can see cardiomegaly, borders are little difficult to identify. I can see this border clearly. I cannot identify this border. Costophrenic angle, difficult. This side is definitely I cannot identify. I can see it is little blunted. Marked pulmonary congestion. I can say butterfly appearance. You can see even a fluid in the interlobar fissures. Curly A line is prominent. Curly B lines, straightforward congestive heart failure. Now here you can see, now there is a cardiomegaly, but there is a mild pulmonary congestion, but costophrenic angles are clear. There is no butterfly appearance, no curly A line, no curly B line. So this is not congestive heart failure. Now in this particular condition, I want to identify which ventricle it is. Shape-wise, clear-cut left ventricle, and there is a clear-cut cardiomegaly. If I draw the line from aorta towards the apex, and if there is like this curvature, this is in favor of what we call as left ventricle. So if you get this particular shape, this is left ventricle, and I want to confirm it. I'll see that there is an increased shadow on the posterior side of this midline. If I draw the roughly this midline, oblique line, from hilum towards the apex, and if this shadow is increasing here, this is left ventricle. If this area I get an increased shadow, it will be right ventricle. You can see the shape. If I draw this line, this is left atrium, this is aortic knuckle, we call aortic knuckle. So if I draw a red line and measure this distance, if this distance is more than 15 millimeter, it will be in favor of what we call as cardiomegaly because of LV. You can see clear cut cardiomegaly. And now if you see here, if I draw the straight line, there is something here. This is because of a left atrium. This is because of the left atrium. So I should be able to identify that particularly clearly. So try to identify LV and LA. Now if you look in this X-ray, now in this right side border, I see one more additional border here. This is because of the LA. This is called double atrial shadow. So whenever you see a double atrial shadow, I'll show you in another X-ray later on. So if you see a double atrial shadow, it is straightforward in favor of what we call as left atrial enlargement, LA. And if I want to identify that much better, I will have to take a lateral view. And another thing which is in favor, if I draw a straight line from aortic knuckle till apex, I see this area. If you look here, can you see this? This portion is because of a left atrium. So if this area is filled up, this is because of LA. So here you can see it is completely filled up. So this is LA, this is LV. So this is a left atrial enlargement. So you can easily identify because of a double atrial shadow, and this portion, which is usually we call as a aortopulmonary window, and that area below this area, this is all left atrium. So this is left atrial enlargement. Instead, either it is a flat instead of concave. It is concave. Normally it is like this. Instead of that, now it is flat. You can see here, this is a retrocardiac area, and this is filled up. You can see this border is enlarged. So this is right atrium. This is right atrium. and I don't have any extension here. So this is right atrium, this is right ventricle border. So this is LV border, but part of the right ventricle is making this little enlarged. So this is right atrial enlargement with RV. You can see this. Now there is a cardiomegaly, clear-cut cardiomegaly, and you can see this space is filled up. So this is RV, RA and RV, RA and RV, and this space, you can see this is filled up. This is RA RV. This is pointed part. This is because of a pulmonary artery. This is pulmonary artery, and this is because of the enlargement of the RV. So this is in a lateral view, and little rotation of the heart posteriorly. Retrosternal space is filled up. So rounded border is a left heart border. This is left heart border, and it is lifted up. It is lifted up. But try to identify in a lateral view. It belongs to what? Now these are all the different conditions which can be there apart from heart. So if you see a huge cardiomegaly and this looks like a water bottle, it is called water bottle appearance, widening. And if you look at this carina angle, this is right bronchus, left bronchus. You can see this is widening of the carina angle. So if you get a widening of the subcarinal angle, you should think in terms of a left atrium, or in case of what we call as a water bottle appearance, that is because of pericardial effusion. So if you see a huge cardiomegaly, right side is also enlarged, left side is also enlarged, and the shape is called flash shape appearance of a water bottle appearance. This is a water bottle appearance, they say. So that is pericardial effusion. So do remember this. And there will be widening of a subcarinal angle in pericardial effusion and in case of a left atrial enlargement. So in left atrial enlargement, you don't get this shape. So this is in favor of a pericardial effusion. There is another finding what you come across in a lateral view. So in a lateral view, retrocardiac space, we call in a retrocardiac, this is retrosternal. So in a retrosternal, you can see the sutures. So some surgery must have been done before. So this is called Oreo sign. If you see this black line in between, there is one shadow here, and between that shadow, there is this particular, there is a black line here, there is a little black line here. This is because of epicardial fat, this is because of a pericardial fat. And this yellow line, what we call. So there is a white arrow, red arrow, and this yellow line shows what we call as this particular, that is produce Oreo cookie sign. So it is called Oreo sign. Oreo sign. So whenever you see this, it is little difficult to identify, but if you have got a very good lateral X-ray, you will be able to identify. And this is in a case of a pericardial effusion. So you have got three shadows. One because of epicardial fat, one because of pericardial fat, and between those two, you see a radiolucency. Radio opacity. That is because of pericardial effusion. So do try to identify these two. Again, you can see this opacity here, and in between that. This is typical what we call as a Oreo sign or Oreo cookie sign. Now here if you see the shadow, there's a little one bulging here. These are odd findings. This is because of ventricular aneurysm, and this is in a lateral view. You can see a bulging here, abnormal bulging. Shape of the heart is changed. Normally this will be like this. Instead of that, there is a bulging here, and this could be because of some mediastinal mass also, but in a lateral view you can see it is related to the heart. So as it is related to the heart, it is related to the chamber, and this is the LV chamber. So this is a LV aneurysm, left ventricular aneurysm. You can see this is an aneurysm. and in that aneurysm you have got a thrombus. Now, whenever you have got only pericardial layer, no myocardium, then it is called pseudoaneurysm. While if you get a myocardium, here, you can see a myocardium here, then this is a true aneurysm. This may not be easily identifiable on this X-ray. You will be able to identify if you have a CT or a MRI. So, true and pseudoaneurysm you will be able to differentiate only on that. So, that you should be able to identify on CT or MRI. Now, if you see in this particular, this is a prominence of a pulmonary artery. Right pulmonary artery is markedly prominent. So, this particular tells you that pulmonary artery is markedly prominent, and this will happen in a pulmonary hypertension. So, in case of a pulmonary hypertension, you will get a RV. So, in a lateral view, good number of time, in a person with a pulmonary hypertension, you will get a right ventricular hypertrophy findings. So, this retrosternal space will be filled up, and that is because of RV enlargement. So, try to look in a lateral field whenever you suspect pulmonary hypertension. So, in this AP window, this is called AP window, this is aortic knuckle, this is AP window. AP window full, it is packed, then suspect pulmonary hypertension. This is one typical finding in a TPGV, transposition of great vessels. Forget about that. If you can identify, it is called Agon string signs. It looks like this shape. So this is called Agon string sign. If you can identify, well and good. This is called what we call, you come across in total anomalous pulmonary venous drainage. It is called snowman sign. It looks like snowman. So it is called snowman sign. Sometime you can identify. And this is in a case of a partial anomalous pulmonary venous drainage. It is called shimmer sign. It looks like a sword of shimmer. This, typical. If you can identify, well and good. Or it is also shimmer sign. In tetralogy of Fallot, it is a boot-shaped appearance, wooden shoe, or a boot-shaped appearance. Or it is also called as core and sabot. This boot-shaped appearance. These are some peculiar shape, but if you can identify. In case of a coarctation of aorta, you get a sign which is called figure of 3. This is because at the aortic knuckle, you get aortic knuckle and dilatation of aorta. So this gives rise to sign 3. And in lateral view also, you get this sign 3. So this is called figure of 3 sign. Figure of 3 sign. Or sometime it is called reverse figure of 3. This is reverse figure of 3. So this particular is very typical in a coarctation of aorta. Plus, in this particular, if what we call is a PA view, if you see a rib notching, inferior border of the ribs, and particularly the upper ribs, third and fourth, it will be in a favor of what we call as coarctation of aorta. If you see here, rib notching, it will be in favor of that. This is not coarctation of aorta, sorry. Now, if you see a RV and LV both enlarged, it will be in favor of. Here you can see RV is enlarged, and this is also extending posteriorly, and this is LV. So if you get a RV and LV enlarged, and if you get a failure sign, it may be because of combined, we call it a congestive heart failure. Now you can see this is left ventricle enlargement, mild pulmonary congestion. This is little pulmonary congestion. Trachea is central. This is in expiration, no rotation. Dome of diaphragm, I can see a costophrenic angle here. I cannot make out. This is a poor quality. There is no labeling. So I cannot comment properly regarding a what we call is a obliteration of a costophrenic angle. So this is LV enlargement with pulmonary congestion. Again you can see here. Now you can see this one additional shadow, a red arrow is shown you. And this is a right border. This is exactly the right border. And along with that, I can see an additional shadow here, little more dense. Look at this density, look at this density. This is because of LA. So this is double atrial shadow. And if you look at this bronchus, and look at this bronchus. Now this is a carina angle. This is the bronchus. This is a black line. Can you see this black line? This is a black line. So this is a carina angle. Carina angle is widened. There is a double atrial shadow, left atrial enlargement. And if you want to confirm, look in the lateral view. This is middle lobe consolidation. Air bronchogram is seen. But along with that, you can see a big enlargement of the heart. This is the right border is also enlarged, and this is LV. So this is LV with right border also enlarged. So maybe because of RV plus even a LA and RA. This will be because of RA. And if you see a double atrial shadow, it will be because of LA. You look at the carina angle. This is carina angle. Little wider. Little wider. This is carina angle. Little wider. So this may be LA, RA, RV and LV. So all chambers enlarged. Plus there is middle lobe infiltration. So this, but I can see the angle clearly. There is not much amount of pulmonary congestion. So person is not in a failure. Now if you look at this particular, you can see the aortic knuckle and see the shape of the heart. This is called Shumo shape. Shumo shape of the heart. And that is very commonly because of a LV enlargement, left ventricular enlargement. And that you can see in an aortic incompetence, hypertension and late stage of aortic stenosis. And you will see the encroachment of the LV posteriorly. This is retrosternal space, not filled up. So there is no RV. There is no RV. You can see a big enlargement. And if you draw the line, this is pulmonary hypertension. LA is also enlarged. This is double atrial shadow. And this is LV. This will happen in mitral regurgitation. So LV will be there in a mitral regurgitation. In MR, LV is not affected. LA will be big, RV and RA. Here, LV, LA, RA and even possibility RV also. So this will happen in a case of a mitral regurgitation. There is a mild pulmonary congestion. I cannot see the costophrenic angle clearly. Here the costophrenic angle is blunt. Here also I cannot make out clearly. So this person is in a congestive heart failure. Now these are 4 valves. If you draw the imaginary line, this is a hilum. And if you draw this line like this, till apex, pulmonary valve and aortic valve is above. So this is pulmonary, this is aortic. And below is mitral and tricuspid. Tricuspid is anterior, mitral is posterior. Pulmonary is above, while aortic is close to the center. So if you look in a PA view, pulmonary is first, second is aortic, third is mitral, and lowermost is tricuspid. And if you see a slit like this, straight line like this, it is always aortic. So this will look straight here, while in a lateral, pulmonary valve will look like this. So do remember, in a lateral view, if you see a single line, it is pulmonary. In PA view, it is aortic. And you can see these suture lines. So here, all the 4 valves are replaced. All the 4 valve replacements are being done. Which valve is this? If you draw the line like this is below and it is here. So this has to be a mitral valve. This has to be a mitral valve. You can see this is here. So this has to be a mitral valve. So this is mitral and tricuspid insufficiency, a big cardiomegaly. This is LA, RA and RV. So try to identify that. And there is even encroachment posteriorly. So this is even LV. So these are all the different X-rays you can go through. This is an enlargement maybe because of a dilated cardiomyopathy, or maybe because of valvular heart disease. You can see a double atrial shadow clear cut. So this is LA, RA, this will be RV part, and this is portion of LA. This is pulmonary hypertension, and this will be the LV part. This is pure LV, pure LV. So this will be more common in aortic incompetence. This will be in MS and MR, and this is given a name sometime, grapefruit heart. This is more common in cardiomyopathy and pericardial effusion. Try to rule out that. This is boot-shaped heart, tetralogy of Fallot. You can see here, this is barium swallow, and you can see a impression on a barium swallow. This is because of LA. This is double atrial shadow, and this you can identify on a lateral view if you do a barium swallow. So you will be able to identify that much better. This is big enlargement, can be pericardial effusion, cardiomyopathy, valvular heart disease. Rule out those three. Again, a big cardiomegaly, valvular heart disease, dilated cardiomyopathy, and pericardial effusion. Try to rule out that. So this is a massive cardiomegaly. Again, a massive cardiomegaly, but the shape wise, this is water bottle appearance, or we call flask shape appearance, more in favor of pericardial effusion. Is that clear? And you will have to look at what we call as a Oreo sign. Oreo sign. So try to look at that particular thing. Again, water bottle appearance, cardiomegaly, pericardial effusion. Again, water bottle appearance, cardiomegaly, pericardial effusion. But when you see this lateral view, there is a calcification in this pericardium. Whenever you see a calcification in pericardium, always suspect in India tuberculosis. So this will be a healed tubercular pericardial effusion, because calcification is a late stage, not in an early stage. Again, massive pericardial effusion. You can see a massive pericardial effusion. But this person was having CKD. So this is CKD producing a pericardial effusion. Do remember, one of the cause of pericardial effusion is CKD, hypothyroidism. Don't forget those two conditions. Again, water bottle appearance, large pericardial effusion. Again, pericardial effusion, and person was having CKD. So do remember that. And this is a pericardium. This is what we say as, this is the border of pericardium, and this is air in the pericardium. So this is usually following a trauma where air can enter through the what we call as a tension pneumothorax, or because of iatrogeny when you do a pericardiocentesis. Now you can see here calcification. This has to be either constrictive pericarditis following what we call as healing process in a pyogenic tuberculosis or hemopericardium in those conditions, and this will give rise to Kussmaul signs, and pericardial knock may be heard on auscultation. So that may be an additional help to differentiate constrictive pericarditis. Again, you can see calcification here. Can you see calcification here? Little calcification is seen here. This will be restrictive pericarditis, or we call constrictive pericarditis, which can happen following a healing process in a person with tuberculosis, pyogenic, malignant pericardial effusion, or sometime even hemopericardium getting secondary bacterial infection and healing with fibrosis. This is, you can see the carina angle is increased. Double atrial shadow. This is because of a left atrium. So double density or double atrial shadow, widening of carina angle in favor of a left atrial enlargement. And second possibility, what if you don't see double atrial shadow? Pericardial effusion. do look at the pericardial effusion. So this is again cardiomegaly. Right side is enlarged. This shape is more of a RV shape. You will have to look in a LA view, lateral view. This is pulmonary artery is prominent, so there is a pulmonary congestion. Again, mild cardiomegaly, not much amount. This is AP view. This is PA view. So do not mistake this as a cardiomegaly. See, this is a AP view. This is PA view, same person. This is normal heart size. This is cardiomegaly. So this is a false diagnosis. So always look at, see here it is mentioned AP, here PA. So same person. So this is in inspiration, same person in expiration. So try to look. This appears like cardiomegaly. Don't mistake it. Always look at trachea, look at the position of the clavicle, rotation, inspiration, expiration, level of diaphragm. Look at that. Even if the diaphragm is pushed up from below because of pregnancy, ascites and obesity, it will give you a false interpretation. So try to look at that. Because of a chest deformity, sometime also. See, this is a chest deformity. The sternum is pushed inside. It is pectus excavatum. In that, the shape of the heart will change. The size of the heart will also change. This appears cardiomegaly. So do consider that particular thing. Now, even in a person who has got a dextrocardia, you can see this is right. So this is apex. So you will have to measure. This is not right atrial enlargement. This is not right side enlargement. So try to interpret that properly. Again, you can see this. Heart is on the right side, but this is not cardiomegaly. Again, this is heart is on the right side with situs inversus. This is situs soletus. So gastric bubble is on the left side. This is on the right side. This is right side. So heart is on the right side and gastric bubble is on the right side. So this is situs inversus. Dextrocardia with situs inversus are usually normal heart, but dextrocardia with situs soletus, invariably, they are with abnormal heart. We call congenital heart disease. Yes, this is dextrocardia. Now, ideally, this is a wrong or we call poor quality. There is no labeling. You can see a breast shadow. This is good number of time mistaken as a consolidation. Now, if I label this way, this is left side. So this heart is on the right side. Now, this is sometime mistaken as normal. And here labeling is not done. So labeling should be done properly. So this has to be a right side. This has to be a left side. This is gastric bubble. So this is dextrocardia with situs soletus. If this gastric bubble is seen here, and if this is a right side, then this is dextrocardia with situs inversus. This is dextrocardia with situs inversus. This will be the ECG which will give you an idea. This is dextrocardia with gastric bubble on the right side. You can see the marking left here, and this is a PA view. So this is dextrocardia with situs inversus. Now these are all the X-rays which is showing you congestive heart failure. I'm running little faster, so you can go through your leisure time. Cardiomegaly, border you cannot identify, butterfly appearance or bat wing appearance, bilateral pleural effusion in favor of congestive heart failure. Again same, look at that. Curly A lines, curly B lines. Look at curly A lines, curly B lines. Cardiomegaly, little pulmonary congestion, pacemaker, and you can see this wire. There's a thick part here, and here it is little difficult to identify, but there will be another portion which will be having a little thicker portion. This is ICD, and these are curly B lines. So this person is having a congestive heart failure, and this is an ICD, implantable cardioverter defibrillator. So that is being there, and some some of the times this particular person are having what we call as a CRT devices, resynchronous devices. So that particular can be utilized in a person with a failure. So this is CHF, there's a cardiomegaly, curly B line with a pacemaker. And this pacemaker is having ICD facilities. So this is looks like a congestive heart failure. I cannot identify the size properly, but still this is a normal size. No pleural effusion, lot of bilateral signs, bilateral congestions or bilateral radiopacities. Think in terms of ARDS. You can see a endotracheal tube also, or this may be a tracheostomy tube. You can see a fluid in a transverse fissure. This will be in a favor of what we call as a congestive heart failure. Bat wing appearance, costophrenic angle not seen, straightforward congestive heart failure. Again same, cardiomegaly, pulmonary congestion, bilateral pleural effusion, curly A line, curly B line, congestive heart failure. Now if you see here, see, can you see the notch on inferior border, coarctation of aorta? You can see clearly. On this side it is much better seen. This is one which you can see. You can see here. This is what we call as inferior border of the rib. There is a notching, coarctation of aorta. Here if you see, this is much better seen. You can see this. This is second. This is automated intracardiac device. Implantable cardioverter defibrillator devices. And this is usually in a person who are prone to get VTVF. Again, this is a pacemaker, single chamber pacemaker, right? Cardiomegaly with a pacemaker. So I end my lecture here. I hope this will be helpful to you. We'll see you in the next lecture.